Hey guys, welcome to the Touchdown Table. I'm Ryan, that's Tyler, that's Jordan. And this video is going to be breaking down the quarterback controversy, the quarterback news, the quarterback really whole story in Chicago, because that's really the talk of that city, the talk of that team, really the talk of the league right now, because Nick Foles, as of right now, is the guy. So we're going to talk about that and what we make of it.
Yeah, a lot of talking in that the first part for the intro for you, Ryan, talking about a lot of talk going on. What?
Wasn't much talk.
I'm saying the word talk was thrown around a lot, and
exactly,
we're going to talk about it here as well. It's talked about on the Bears, on Chicago, all around football, and really all around sports. Everyone is paying attention to this, and it seems like everyone wanted to see Mitchell Trubisky go and Nick Foles enter the chat. So for this video, as you can see, no computer in front of me because it has broke. Having some technical difficulties, so we got the one mic hooked up for this one. We improvised with what we have. So with that being said, let's actually get into the topic of the video, and that is, of course, the situation between Mitchell Trubisky and Nick Foles. Nick Foles has been named the Bears starter for the future.
Yeah, he sure has. Jordan doesn't have his computer, so we need a new stats guy. You know?
Oh, he's got it.
Speaking from the one that's got stats, I think I may as well read off these.
Come on, man.
All your stats, yeah.
All right, so let's start with Mitch Trubisky. Mitchell Trubisky, whatever you want to call him. In the first 2.5 games that he had, 59.3% completion, 560 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 picks. So not exactly the worst of Mitchell Trubisky, but not exactly good.
I mean, when the Bears made the decision to start Mitchell Trubisky, they weren't expecting Pat Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen of this year's type numbers. You just weren't expecting that with him because you saw what he did in the past, but you like what he did over the offseason. You like how he tried to improve himself, how he worked on footwork, or he worked on accuracy. But just when he got in the game, things were better. But, of course, I think what they saw from Trubisky is what they expected to see from Trubisky, if I'm being completely honest. I think that they were hopeful that he would be better than he was. He wasn't terrible, but he was not good enough, and we saw that from Nick Foles entering against the Falcons.
Yeah, Nick Foles did enter in the second half. Didn't even play the entire second half, but had 188 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception that really could have been called a touchdown. And then also another drop touchdown by Anthony Miller. So he could have had some really good stats in that game. 55.2% completion, so worse than Trubisky in his first 2.5 games. But otherwise, the stats look better in terms of Nick Foles. He's had more age, more experience. Those stats are going to be a lot higher.
Yeah, you mentioned the stats like around 50%. That is not good. So you wonder, will that improve later?
Now there's 59.3 though.
Oh, okay.
They both got room to improve.
Yeah, certainly. But I feel like when you talk about before the season, I feel like you almost you wanted to believe that Mitchell Trubisky could be better. You wanted to believe, okay, we're going to start him. You just wanted to believe that maybe he won't go down as this horrible bust. Maybe one more chance is what he needs. But it turned out that Nick Foles was that guy who lighted the spark for that team. And even though Mitchell Trubisky was not playing horrible, clearly putting in Nick Foles changed the tide of that game. And I think that's a big reason why he's started going forward. And at the end, I'm sure we'll get into this later, I think it is the right move.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about this in our podcast as well, which at the moment we're making this video, we've had technical difficulties in getting it out yet. By the time this video comes out, though, you should be able to watch it. It should be on most, if not all, platforms, called the Touchdown Table. So if you want to watch the podcast, we talk about this more in depth. Well, actually, it might be more in depth here, or it's probably about the same if we're just going to be honest here. I don't remember what I was going to say.
Oh, I can just save you there.
Help you out a little bit.
But Ryan was talking about if this was the right move or not, and I think it will end up probably being the better move. We saw Nick Foles carry out Matt Nagy's offense a lot better than Trubisky was in the first 3 games. Before we get to that part of it, I want to talk about, do you guys think this was too soon for Trubisky? That was, like I said earlier, not the worst of Trubisky at all. I know he had a bad interception and missed some deep ball throws. This wasn't his worst game. He didn't play that bad. Nagy said he had a gut feeling to take him out. Was this too soon, considering Nick Foles not being able to start many games in the season, and Trubisky at least playing all right?
I think many people would say it's not soon enough. However, I'm the opposite. I would say, yes, it is too soon. I like Trubisky. I think that he was not playing awful football. He surely was not playing the best. Like I said before, not Pat Mahomes level, not Deshaun Watson level. Nobody expected that from him this year. But he was not playing awful. That interception was bad, and they were down by a lot. They needed a spark, and they put in Nick Foles. I don't know, and I've said this before, I don't know if Matt Nagy knew the altitude of his decision, if that makes sense.
He had to.
Of putting in Nick Foles at that point. I think there's a possibility he did not know that by putting in Nick Foles, the city of Chicago expects Nick Foles to be the starter. Your teammates expect Nick Foles to be the starter, and the NFL expects Nick Foles to be the starter. I don't think he realized that. I think there was a possibility of him thinking, I just want to set a spark in this game. Maybe he didn't realize it. Maybe Tyler has a different opinion on it, that he came into the game knowing that's something that he wanted to do. In my opinion, I'm not sure if he knew the magnitude of the decision that he was trying to make.
Yeah, but when you talk about, like, is it too soon? I mean, what was the score when they, pulled him? Was it 26-10 at that point, or was it earlier in the game? So it was 26-10. Had the game gotten not any better or worse for the Bears, then I think maybe you question Coach Nagy. Was it too soon? What was the purpose of that? Now you just created more controversy and more uncertainty. But look, it was 26-10. You put Foles in. He came back and won the game. So how can you really question that if it worked? I don't really think with the way it worked out, you can really criticize that decision because at the end they came back and won the game. And Foles, there was the one, interception/touchdown where you really don't know. But Foles brought your team back, lit that spark, did what you expect a quarterback to do when you bring him into the game under that circumstance. Foles has been here before, so I really think, even though it was a heat-of-the-moment decision, look at the result. It clearly worked out, so I don't really think you can criticize a decision that worked.
Yeah, and I've warmed up to Nick Foles being the starter for the future, but you do have to remember that in this game, they were playing the Atlanta Falcons defense. Another cornerback got injured for them as well as in this game. Things just got worse from a defense that was already pretty terrible. You do have to remember, down by as much as they were playing the Falcons defense, and that's easy to get pass yards against. I think, honestly, the Bears should have been passing a lot earlier in that game. During the game, Tyler kept saying it a lot, and I, of course, kept thinking it a lot, that the Falcons, their strength of their defense, and I know it's weird to say the Falcons have a strength of their defense, but the strength of their defense is the defensive line, and they were stopping the Bears' run game very, very well. David Montgomery did not get too many yards, and Tariq Cohen got injured in that game, and he looks like he's going to be out for the season, which really sucks. But I think their game plan from the beginning should have been to pass that ball more, and they just did not do it with I almost said Patrick Mahomes, with Mitchell Trubisky. And when Nick Foles entered the game, they were forced to do it because they were down by so much. And, of course, I think he did a great job. I think he's going to do some good things in the future for the Bears. At least I hope he will, because my hope rests in you, Nick. But I think just based off of how the game was going, they could have just flipped their script on the game and said, all right, we need to pass the ball more. I think if Trubisky is in, he would have led them to a somewhat comeback. Who knows what would have happened? Maybe they would have won by more. Maybe they would have got blown out. That will always be a question mark and something Mitchell Trubisky thinks about as he's going to bed and having some nightmares.
That's a good segment into what I wanted to say. We don't know what would have happened if Trubisky was playing the entirety of that game. He had come back before just 2 weeks earlier against the Lions, but it was looking more ugly. And Nick Foles did it anyway. So as Ryan said, can you criticize something that worked? At least in this game right now, as of what we've seen, it's working. Will it work in the future? We don't know, because we haven't seen those games quite yet. We're going to be able to see that and have a better answer as the season goes on. But going back to what we said earlier, I don't think Nagy just wanted to make this a temporary decision. I think there had to be something going on behind the scenes. Either Trubisky was not learning the offense in practice and the games was not executing the plays, where he just wasn't doing things right, and he saw Foles was doing it better. Then maybe he went into the game and talked to the offensive coordinator and said, we gotta be careful here, because Mitch starts playing bad enough. I think Foles is the better guy right now and willing to put him in, because as soon as you put Foles in, everyone's gonna be saying, oh, Foles, it's time. So I don't think he was just saying, let's just put him in for now and see what happens. I think that was a moment where after the pick, he was mad. He said, I'm done. Foles, we're not waiting on you, Trubisky. We've given you many chances.
Now I'm done.
That's had to be what they said,
And now,
we want to be 3-0, let's go.
Yeah, they ended up being 3-0, but Foles came in, and the rest was history. So I think he knew exactly what was going to happen, and he was done with Trubisky. Too many chances had been given to him already, and he continued to blow it. That being said, I still feel like Trubisky, I continue to say that. I've said this over and over and over again, but I feel like Trubisky has so much talent. We're just not seeing.
So much talent.
I
feel like he has talent, but Also, I want to say something before Ryan goes back. Before you were talking about, can you criticize something if it's working? Well, with Ryan saying that statement, it's kind of hypocritical because you look at the way he criticizes Lamar Jackson. What he's doing with the Ravens right now is working, and yet you criticize him still as he's in his prime, even though you think he's going to decline in the future.
They were firing on all cylinders.
They weren't playing their offense, but I was saying those first 2 weeks where they beat your team, they destroyed your team. You were
I
watching
predicted
that
that
game.
to happen.
It worked.
A lot of people have beaten my team.
You're criticizing something
Literally everyone
that
that's played my team has beaten my team.
I'm not talking about the Texans specifically. I'm talking about you
just said my
criticizing
team.
something that works. You criticize Lamar Jackson right now. He's playing some good football. He won the MVP last year, and even during last year, you were criticizing him. But what he's doing is working.
That's an interesting discussion you bring up, and I'm happy to talk about that. But this is a Foles Trubisky video.
I just thought I had to bring in that.
Yeah. We don't have time for that.
Oh, okay.
Of course, yeah. I mean, that's usually something I would say is we don't have time for it. But let's get into the skill level of both these guys. I kind of mentioned about Trubisky already. He had gotten a lot of chances. He had been hitting to blow his chances every once in a while. He'd look good, but then it would be bad again. He couldn't complete games. And I think at some point, if he continued to play like that, it was during the season, it was a matter of time before Foles got put in. From what we have seen in that game against the Falcons, Nick Foles looked like a better quarterback in general. He had a better arm. He was more accurate. He knew the system better than the quarterback that's been in for 3 years. It felt like he was executing it better. And if that continues, I think there is no other way to put it other than Nick Foles was the right guy to go in.
And well, another interesting point to mention here is you look back to what happened with Justin Herbert against the Chiefs. He played a good game last week against the Panthers, but he also played a really good game against a Chiefs team whose defense was looking better week 1, and they're just a really good all-around team. But the Chiefs were not game planning for Justin Herbert playing the game. They were not ready for him. They didn't base their defenses off of his skills and whatnot, so that could have had an effect on the game. It could be a similar situation with Nick Foles against the Falcons. They game plan for Trubisky, and there's a big difference between game planning for Trubisky and game planning for any other quarterback, basically. Because whenever anyone is playing Mitchell Trubisky, they're always saying, all right, Mitch, make the mistakes. We'll just let you make your own mistakes. We're not going to be too aggressive because you'll mess up. That's what teams are usually banking on because he has made those mistakes time and time again. Nick Foles is not that guy, and I think that could have an effect on it. Now, how much of an effect it had on it, I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting point to bring up.
I don't think it had too much of an effect, and I see your point with that. But with Herbert and Taylor, they're two completely different quarterbacks. But with Foles,
I think they're two. If you're game planning for each quarterback, I think you game plan for them different ways. Yeah. You hear announcers say it all the time. The way you game plan for Trubisky is let himself destroy himself.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not a bad strategy.
The same exact plays were being run from what we saw with Trubisky and Foles, so it wasn't on that aspect like it was completely different. They are different quarterbacks.
They're going to run the same plays, but how the defense is going to be able to defend them against each quarterback is different.
That should be an easy fix to go to the sideline and say, all right, let's actually worry about
all right.
now.
I mean, it's not as easy in the fix when you haven't seen this guy on film with the Bears. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. We'll see how it goes. Like, it's gonna.
I'm not doubting Nick Foles here. I'm just bringing up an interesting point. I hope that he's going to do some good stuff in the future, but these are points that have to be brought up to you because people want to see Nick Foles do good. They want to see Trubisky's butt kicked to the curb. But these are also points that as much as people want to see it, as much as people mean Trubisky, as much as people don't like Trubisky, there are points on his side that need to be said.
There are, and there's some things you could say about Nick Foles as well.
I've been a fan of his for a while. I will say that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of Nick Foles as well, but I'm pretty sure I said this stat on the podcast as well. But I'm almost 100% sure it's true, but he hasn't started more than 11 games in the season throughout his entire career. We have 13 more games to go. I mean, history tells you that that's not going to work out. Mm-hmm. Hopefully that's different.
And you know what else history tells us with last year with the Jaguars? So I know it's the Jaguars. They didn't have many receivers, many weapons at all. But Nick Foles went there to be the starting quarterback. I don't think they were riding their franchise on him, especially because he's so old. I think he was more of a bridge quarterback for them. It was a really short bridge because he's gone. But what I'm saying is he did not have that much. He did not do too well in the Jag system. What quarterback really does, except for a few games. But he got hurt. Then Minshew played. Then when Nick Foles was able to be healthy and come back and play, he came back in and they got pulled back out for Minshew again. So there's the hype behind Nick Foles, but he needs to continue to back it up with great games like he did against the Falcons. If he's able to do that, then I'm jumping on Nick Foles' train all the way. But I need to see more, just like I needed to see more from Trubisky after the first game where everyone was praising him because of the comeback against the Lions.
Yeah, and that's something I've been saying too. In week 1, everyone was saying, "Oh, Trubisky looked good. Is he back?" And I don't know if I said it on camera.
Is he back? When was he
back from
there?
what?
Back from the one Bucks game that he had.
I mean, he's back from his bottomless pit that he was in last year. He rose back to the top.
There was a bottom. It was just pretty low.
Yeah.
At times it was all right. He was not as awful as people say he was.
I mean, at times it was. But
at times.
Like I said in week 1, I don't know if it was on camera or off camera, but I said, let's calm down about Mitchell Trubisky. We saw one good quarter from him. History will tell us that really has not carried on very often. Let's just be cautious with this. And it's the same thing for Nick Foles now. Yeah, sure, he had a good quarter and a half, but this is a guy that has a history of not being able to have longevity in a season. Although the talent is definitely there. We saw it. But let's slow our roll here. We got to see a bit more of this before I'm fully on the Nick Foles train, as Jordan said. But that being said, whoever the better quarterback is, start him.
And I just want to make this last point. You might see me as ripping Nick Foles in this video. I'm not. I'm just very critical of who's going to play that quarterback position coming into this season. In videos that I talked about, I thought Mitchell Trubisky should have been the guy. I don't think he played terrible enough at the point where it was necessary to take him out. But they did. They won that game. And at the end of the day, I'm happy that they won that game. But the thing with Nick Foles is that he did. I will give him credit where credit's due. There were some throws where he missed against the Falcons. There were some plays, not some plays, a lot of plays where he did good. That Allen Robinson play, let's just be honest, he should not have thrown that ball there. There were 3 defenders in the area there, and he just kind of chucked it up. And luckily, it went through 2 defenders' hands, right into Allen Robinson's hands, broke a tackle, scored a touchdown. That got him a lot of the yards. That got him a touchdown. However, he made some great plays as well. That game-winning touchdown pass to Anthony Miller is a play that Mitchell Trubisky would never make. I'm sorry. When you're getting hit like that, and like falling back and throwing that ball as far as he did, Trubisky got an arm, but first of all, you can't throw deep balls very well, period. But also, when you're getting hit and you're falling down like that, it's an extremely hard throw to make. And Nick Foles, in his veteran career, he's been able to make that throw time and time again. He was able to make it in a clutch situation. So, Nick Foles, good job by you to win that game. That pass was beautiful. And as a Bears fan, I don't see many beautiful passes, but that was beautiful.
I like the ending there. But just to note off what you were saying, in Nick Foles' press conference, he was saying that he told Anthony Miller before that play, if there's pressure and I can't throw it, get to the L. He was talking about in the end zone, the L in the end zone.
Oh, like in the Falcons?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he said, I'll throw it there, I'll get it to
Take
you.
the L.
He told Anthony Miller just to get there and I'm just going to throw it. That's exactly what happened. It was right in that spot. So that doesn't seem like something Trubisky would do. So, I mean, that makes me optimistic about the things in the future. But that being said, let's conclude this video. Nick Foles seems like he's going to be the starter going forward this year. That's what Matt Nagy has said. The offense seems to be excited about it. They played good in that.
I think the offense is going to be excited regardless of what quarterback.
Yeah, they were excited about Trubisky at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we got a new start here. I know we're 3-0 as Bears fans, but it looked a lot better.
I'm just saying we're the best 3-0 team in the NFL right now, right?
I think you meant
I'm
worse.
just joking.
I think second worst would be generous.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a 3-0 team. That's a topic for another time.
The Titans are 3-0 also.
Yeah, I know.
They're the one team that could be in
it's
that
between
area.
you two because they haven't looked too clean either.
But as Bears fans, we're not overhyping our team. We know where we stand.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully, Foles can bring us to that.
I'm self-aware of the Bears.
To where we deserve to be an undefeated team. But
yeah,
that's the situation we're at.
Just
Let us know
numbers,
what you
just
guys
stats.
think in the comment section down below. We'd love to know your
stats
opinions about Foles being the starter in Chicago, your opinions about Mitch, your opinions about Foles.
I'm sure most of you are going to not like Mitch.
In Chicago, that's usually how it goes. That's right, Jordan. But thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell. And like I said, comment down below. Also, make sure to go check out our podcast. That should come out by this time this week.
Yeah.
We talk about topics such as what
I'm working on that right after this video.
And some of the top stories heading into the next week. And some games from last week. So plenty to talk about there. And I think I said all I needed to. So with that, we will see you guys later.
See ya.